Lesson 1, I will identify and draw points, lines, line segments, rays, and angles. So today we're going to switch to an entirely different module, and in this lesson we're going to talk about some geometric figures. And remember that identify means that you're going to be able to recognize that figure, and obviously you already know what draw means. Okay, so on your problem set, you're going to need a ruler or a straight edge, and we are going to practice drawing some of these types of geometric figures that you've already learned about in your Zern video. We're going to draw some points, some lines, line segments, and rays. If you feel like you already know how to do a little bit of this because you did some in your Zern video, you can go ahead and pause the video and try to do some of this by yourself, and then come back and you can check with me. Be great. If you get confused at any time, you can always press play and see if you did it correctly. All right, so it says draw 2 points, point A and point B. So we're going to draw a point, just like we did last time. So here's a point. I'm going to label it A. And then it says to draw a point B. I think I'll put point B here. You could point A and point B anywhere you wanted to. Now it says use a straight edge to draw AB. Now look at this. It has this figure over top of it. What does that look like? It's a ray. So we have to draw a ray. And because A is the first letter, that means that A is the end point. Okay, so we're going to put A here. And then we're going to draw it through B. And that is ray AB. Draw a new point that is not on ray AB and label it C. So I'm going to come down here and put a new point, C. Draw segment AC. So a segment has endpoints. So that means that this should not have arrows. I'm just connecting point A to point C. Now it says draw a point not on ray AB or AC, call it D. Now this is a little bit confusing because they said draw a line segment AC and now they're calling it a line, but it's not a line, it's a line segment. So we're going to draw a point that's not on AC and we're going to call it D. So I'm going to put it here. Oops, lost my pen. All right, I'm going to put it here and I'm going to call it D. Point D. Construct line CD. So now I'm going to use 2 arrows. I'm going to start here with C, and I'm going to go all the way through D. It goes on and on forever. I'm going to come back here from C and go on and on forever. Okay, so it's important that this has arrows at the end because that is what shows that it is a line. Now this isn't exactly straight. I'm going to try to straighten it up a little bit. Okay, now use the points you've already labeled to name one angle. So an angle is 2 rays that are connected with an endpoint. Okay, so I'm looking here, and I see an angle right, I see a couple of angles, but they don't really have, the points aren't labeled. Okay, so let's do this one. I'm going to highlight it. See right here where this line segment and this line segment share this endpoint A, okay? And I'm going to actually take this all the way up here since that has an endpoint. So I'm going to call this angle ACD. I could call it angle DCA. You may have seen another angle. I actually could have done this one right here too. I could have done angle, let's do a different color. I could have identified this angle, BAC. Now, if I knew what this point was right here, I could have come up with a bunch of other angles, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and stop there. But you kind of get the idea. There's lots of angles. Anywhere you have 2 line segments, rays, or lines that have a common endpoint, then you have an angle. All right, so now it says use the following directions to draw a figure in the box to the right. So we're going to do this again. It says draw 2 points, A and B. So let me get back to my pen. Again, if you want to try to do this all by yourself, go ahead and then come back and check and see if our figures are similar. So here's A, and here is B. You could have put yours anywhere. Use a straight edge to draw AB. Now notice this has no arrows on the end, so this is a line segment. So I'm going to connect A and B with just a line segment. Now it says draw a new point that is not on A and B. Label it C. All right, so I'm going to put C here. Draw, and I have this figure right here, this figure. An arrow on one end. So that is a ray. So it says BC. So the arrow has to come out of C. Okay, so that is ray BC. Now it says draw a new point that's not on line segment AB or ray BC and label it D. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to label this D. Construct AD. Notice it has this line over the top of it, so that means that this has to be a line. So I'm going to go ahead and start this way and this way. I need to adjust this a little bit. I made that just a little bit crooked. Okay, so this is line AD. Yours probably looks better than mine. Okay, now it says identify angle DAB by drawing an arc to indicate the position of the angle. So here is DAB, so my arc is going to be right inside here. Identify another angle by referencing points that you've already drawn. So I see another angle. What about this angle? CBA. You could also call it ABC. Okay, so I'm going to put the angle sign. Angle, I think I'll call it ABC. That's a little more fun. You could also call it CBA. So angle ABC. On the back, observe the familiar figures below. Label points on each figure, and then use those points to label and name representations of each of the following in the table below. Ray, line, line segment, and angle. Extend segments to show lines and rays. Okay, so I'm going to make my page just a little bit bigger so that we can see the whole entire page. All right, I might need to make this smaller. We can't see everything. That's kind of hard, isn't it? Okay, so let's see if I can adjust this. That's better. Okay, so I've kind of hidden the directions, but you can still see. Okay, so it says, I'm going to find a ray on the house. Now, obviously there's no arrows, so I have to extend the line segment to make an arrow. There are lots and lots of line segments, so I'm just going to pick one line segment, and I'm going to extend it out like this, and then I'm going to label points, and I'm going to call this A, and then I'm going to call this B. So on the house I have ray A, B. Now I have to do the same thing on the flash drive. There are several lines on the flash drive. You can see lots of line segments. All I have to do is pick one and extend it out and then label it with points. I'm not going to use the same points. I'm going to start new points every time. So I'm going to call this point C and point D. So I have ray C, D. This might make more sense if I go ahead and connect those. Ray CD. And then on the compass, it already has arrows, so I can just label this right here in the middle. I'm going to label this, I'm going to change my color here. I'm going to label this one point E, and I think I'll go ahead and extend this, even though it's already an arrow, just so I have more room to draw. So I'll call, let's do this. I'm going to extend these. Oops, I only need one. Okay, so label another point. I'll label this F. So I have line segment, or excuse me, ray E, F on the compass. Okay, now I have to do lines. This would be easy. I could create a whole new line, or I could come back to my ray and I could just extend it out the other end. I could do that to every single one of them. Just go to the point and turn it into a line. Now I have line AB, line CD, and line EF. Now the line segment, I could go in and just make the line segment in between, but I think I'll just make new ones. All right, so let's call this point G and call this point H. So I have line segment G, H, and then over here I'll call this I, and J. So I have line segment I, J, and then let's come over here. This one's kind of hard because it's so small. So I could do a line segment here and a line segment here, and this is already point E, so I'll call this point K. So I have line segment E, K. All right, now I have to find an angle. All right, so I'm going to use my highlighter here, and I'm probably just going to go ahead and use some of the points that I already have. So I have lots of angles here. I'm going to do angle HGA, angle CIJ, I think I said HGJ, but HGA, CIJ, and then I'll do K, let's do yellow here, KEF. Now I just have to write them. All right, so I've got angle HGA, angle CIJ, angle KEF. Okay, so that was identifying all those points, and I know that was a lot. Okay, and it's kind of harder, I think, to do it in these shapes than it is whenever you just have a regular figure. But just make sure that you go back whenever you're ready to identify points, lines, line segments, and angles. Come back and look at your problem set, and that will help you.